Welcome to the Binge Guide, your shortcut to finding the next show. Today, we are diving deep into Home Sweet Home Rebirth. It's a brand new supernatural horror film, and yeah, it's definitely generating some buzz.
It really is. And, this isn't just your standard jump scare flick. It actually has quite a fascinating backstory. It comes from a Thai video game called Home Sweet Home, made by Yggdrasil Group.
Right, and we've looked into it from, all sorts of angles to really give you a full picture of what this movie's about, crucially, all without spoiling any major plot points, so you can figure out if it deserves a spot on your watch list.
Exactly. So maybe you've played the game, you know the whole creepy world of the Hindrance, or maybe this is totally new territory for you.
Yeah.
Either way, our mission here is simple. Give you that clear, spoiler-free lowdown on Home Sweet Home Rebirth.
Yeah, by the end of this chat, you should have a pretty good feel for whether this could be, your next binge.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's get into it. Where did this whole thing even start?
The game.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the game. And what's interesting is it's not like some huge AAA title. It's from a relatively niche indie horror game. But it definitely built up a dedicated following. Came out in episodes, between 2017 and 2019?
That's it. And what made it stand out, I think, was how it blended that classic survival horror, feeling vulnerable, needing to hide, with this really rich Southeast Asian folklore and Buddhist spirituality. It felt different.
Totally different. So instead of generic ghosts, you were dealing with entities rooted in actual Thai mythology.
Yeah.
All happening in this really unsettling purgatorial place called the Hindrance.
Right, and the goal was to rescue the main character's wife, navigating this nightmare world, facing these revenants of sinners. Yeah,
spirits of sinners, essentially. It was a very compelling setup.
Yeah.
Really distinct culturally.
Okay, so that's the game. Now, the big question for anyone listening, how does that translate to the big screen? Because that's often tricky.
It really is. And, based on what we're seeing, the reactions suggest the film takes some significant creative liberties. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Okay. Liberties how?
It seems like a lot of the stuff that made the game feel specifically Thai. The particular mythological bad guys, the rituals. A lot of that seems to have been, maybe streamlined or altered quite a bit for the movie adaptation. Stripped away, some might say.
I see. So if you loved the game because of that unique cultural horror flavor, the movie might feel a bit different then.
That's definitely something to keep in mind, It seems the focus might have shifted.
Shifted towards?
More towards action, it seems.
Yeah.
The game was really about suspense, stealth, avoiding things. The movie looks like it leans much heavier into action sequences. Some takes suggest it's closer to big action horror films than pure Thai folklore.
Gotcha. So less creeping dread, maybe more explosions and fighting demons.
Potentially, yeah. Bit of a different vibe. So, okay, for people who haven't played the game, what's the actual story here? Give us the spoiler-free version.
Right. The essentials. What are we watching?
Okay, so the movie introduces us to Jake. He's played by William Moseley.
Narnia.
That's the one. He's an American cop, and he's on vacation in Bangkok with his Thai wife, Prang, that's Eurasius Burbund, and their daughter, Lou. And things go sideways fast. Jake basically stumbles into this occult ritual happening right in a shopping mall.
Wow, okay. Bad vacation timing.
Seriously. This ritual involves some dark magic led by a character named Mark, played by Mikhail Moroni.
The guy from 365 Days. Interesting casting.
Right. And this ritual, it rips open a gate to hell. Demons, chaos, unleashed on Bangkok.
And Jake gets separated from his family and all that madness, I'm guessing.
Exactly. That's the core conflict. He gets separated, and then he's kind of thrown into this supernatural world, this Hindrance place we mentioned, this sort of purgatory from the game, tied into Thai beliefs.
Okay, so he's trapped there.
Seems like it. And while he's trying to figure things out, he meets this mysterious novice Buddhist monk, Chan, played by Alexander Lee.
Alexander Lee. K-pop star, right?
Yeah, K-pop and K-drama background. And Chan apparently helps Jake navigate this place.
So Jake's mission is basically find his wife and kid and somehow close the gates of hell that just opened up in Bangkok.
Pretty much. Save the family, save the city, high stakes.
Definitely sounds like it could deliver some thrills. So genre-wise, it's horror, but you mentioned action. How does it feel?
Yeah, it's trying to be a blend. It's definitely supernatural horror at its core. But there are big action elements, some dark fantasy vibes, even a bit of mystery, figuring out what Merc's deal is.
But the action might dominate.
That's what some of the early buzz suggests, that the action might kind of overshadow the pure horror stuff that the game was known for.
Okay, so if you're going in expecting, like, slow burn, psychological terror, maybe adjust expectations a bit, more supernatural action.
That seems like a fair way to think about it, based on what's out there.
Yeah.
Visually, though, it sounds like they went for it.
How so?
Well, the co-directors apparently have VFX backgrounds, so you get depictions of, like, a totally destroyed Bangkok, lots of different monsters.
Yeah.
There's talk of a big skeletal demon that features prominently.
Ooh, okay. Big scale visuals.
And one comment even mentioned a Train to Busan vibe.
Really? So, like, intense sequences with hordes of possessed people or something.
That's the implication, yeah.
Yeah.
Could be some pretty dynamic, visually driven stuff for you to see.
Sounds potentially cool. Any downsides mentioned?
Well, yeah. It's worth noting some opinions suggest it might get a little, cheesy at times.
The age-old action horror tightrope.
Exactly. And also some mentions of the acting being maybe a bit variable across the board. Inconsistent performances, perhaps.
Okay, good to know. It sounds like a real mix then. What about the cast? We mentioned a few names. It seems pretty international.
It really is. You've got William Moseley, the British actor, in the lead.
Yeah.
Eurasius Burbund, who's a massive star in Thailand, making her Hollywood debut.
That's cool.
Then Michelle Morone, the Italian actor, as the villain. And Alexander Lee, the Korean-American star, as the monk. It's quite a mix.
Definitely an interesting group. And the production itself, it's based on a Thai game filmed in Thailand.
Yeah, it's a Thai-American co-production. Principal photography was done in Thailand, so that should hopefully give it a good sense of place.
Even if some of the specific cultural stuff from the game is changed.
Right. But interestingly, Yggdrasil Group, the people who made the original game, they were actually involved in the film's production.
Oh, really? That is interesting. So maybe some connection to the original vision, even with the changes.
Hopefully. Might offer a bit of reassurance for game fans, perhaps.
Okay, so beyond the plot, the action, the monsters, are there deeper themes going on here that you might connect with?
Seems like it. Family's huge, obviously. Jake's drive to save his wife and daughter looks central. You'll probably see themes of loss, grief, his personal journey through that.
Makes sense, given the setup.
Yeah. And then there are hints of maybe compassion, especially in his interactions with the monk. Plus, the thrills, the action, the mystery around the Hindrance and mech.
Does it still touch on those Thai superstitions or the idea of the Hindrance much? Or is that mostly gone?
Well, even if the specifics from the game are maybe less prominent, the core idea of the Hindrance as this, like, mysterious spiritual dimension seems to still be key. And there's also some talk, maybe in the promo stuff, about Jake having some kind of destiny, like he's a gatekeeper connected to these hell gates.
Ah, okay. So the supernatural framework is still there, just maybe presented a bit differently.
Seems that way. Potential for some thematic stuff alongside the scares and fights.
Got it. Now, the practical stuff. If people are intrigued, when can they actually see this movie?
Okay, release dates. Home Sweet Home Rebirth is rolling out around April and May 2025. It apparently had a digital release in some places starting April 14th.
And theatrical.
U.S. theatrical release is set for May 8th.
And how long is it? Is it a big commitment?
Nope, pretty standard. Runtime's about 93 minutes, so yeah, relatively concise.
Okay, just over an hour and a half. Good to know. So pulling it all together, who is this movie actually for, and what should you expect?
Yeah, that's the key question, right? Especially with the kind of mixed signals we're getting from early reactions. It feels like if you're a big fan of action horror hybrids, you might really dig this.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not super attached to the original game-specific style.
Right. If the action focus sounds good to you.
Exactly. And if you like supernatural stories with that Southeast Asian setting, even a kind of Hollywood take on it, it could be worth a look. Plus, if you're mainly there for the big visuals, the effects, the intense sequences, it seems like it delivers on that front.
And this sounds like a big but if you're a massive fan of the original Home Sweet Home video game.
Yeah, that's where you probably need to go in with managed expectations.
Because of the changes.
Precisely. The way it sounds like it departs from the game's specific feel, the cultural details, the focus on stealth over action. If you were hoping for a super faithful adaptation, you might find the movie's direction, leaning into more standard action horror, a bit disappointing.
Okay, that's a really important distinction for people to consider. So let's recap this deep dive for everyone listening. Home Sweet Home Rebirth. It's a supernatural horror movie spun off from that Thai indie video game. Story follows an American cop in Bangkok, caught up when a ritual opens gates to hell, needs to save his family.
Right. It's trying to blend action, horror, fantasy, Got an international cast, seems visually ambitious, maybe leaning heavily on the action side.
And the reception so far seems a bit divided, particularly around how faithful it is or isn't to the original game's unique flavor.
Definitely. Key takeaway. It's likely a different beast than the game, focusing more on action spectacle.
So, is Home Sweet Home Rebirth gonna be the next show for your watch list? Well, hopefully this conversation has given you the info you need to make that call for yourself.
Yeah, definitely check out the trailers if you haven't. Keep an eye on reviews as they land. Get a few different perspectives.
Absolutely. Form your own opinion.
And hey, you never know. Sometimes trying something a bit different, even if the buzz is mixed, leads you to something you really enjoy.
Very true. Always worth exploring. Okay, that's all we've got time for on this Binge Guide Deep Dive. Until next time, happy watching and good luck finding the next show.